UFOs, USOs, what are your thoughts there?
That there's a million explanations that are valid for that. Um, it's so hard nowadays to judge any of this stuff because we have so much technology.
Hmm.
Military has so much technology, and fakes are so easy. But we know this stuff has been seen throughout history across cultures, so it's not like, oh, it's all misidentifications or it's all military, because there weren't. There weren't at one point. And these things were still seen. They just weren't called spaceships. I don't think they are spaceships. I think they are, if we're dealing with things that are not human, I think they're either some level of consciousness appearing, whether it be plasma consciousness or kind of like the monster thing. Like it's something that we don't really have a place card for in our Rolodex of things. And so it just goes into whatever the cultural archetype is. And that's, spaceships at this point. So I think it's a very real phenomena. I think it can have life-changing aspects to it. I think the people being hypnotized are being robbed of a genuine shamanic style experience.
True.
Hypnotism is not a memory recovery tool. And if you think something scary happened to you, you're going to create a scary experience under hypnosis. It doesn't matter if it's a good hypnotist or not, because you're going to create false memories.
Yeah.
So when people have missing time, it's like, well, maybe you don't have missing time. Maybe it's just that time was working in a different way when you were having this experience. Just like you can
True.
wake up from having a dream and not remember that you were dreaming, you may be in an altered state of consciousness, have an experience, and then come back to a normal state of consciousness and not remember it, but it's there. It's in you.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, now I'm missing time. I must get hypnotized to recover it. And of course, the recovery is going to look like what you expect it to look like.
Hmm.
And it's usually going to be a scary experience at first. Most people who have, quote, abduction encounters, they're terrified. But the people who stop and work with them and don't get terrified by them and try to approach it with like some honest, like, I want to know what this is, and don't get hypnotized, tend to go down a more shamanic path. I go back to John Keel's Eighth Tower, where he talks about this stuff moving in from different wavelengths of light. Um, and I think he was right about at least some of it. Again, I think there's a bunch of things going on when we're talking about UFOs and stuff. But any of this stuff, one of the things I found interesting, I was listening to the Brothers of the Serpent podcast when Marty Garza was on once, and he was talking about taking a picture of some military craft, and it was bathed in infrared light to make it so you couldn't photograph it, you couldn't pick it up as easy on radar and stuff. It was one of the experimental things they were doing. And he said he couldn't get a clear photo of it. And he only realized later it's because it was bathed in infrared. And so I started looking into this. And I think it's in Taiwan, they will sell hats that have infrared lights on the bottom of the brim
Hmm.
to defeat facial recognition because it blanks out the face to cameras. I had someone who worked as a Navy officer say they were testing infrared beams of light that they could shoot at a camera and it would destroy the camera. And then I started thinking about how every picture of a UFO and Bigfoot is blurry. Well, if it's bathed in some kind of light that the camera can't interpret, then yeah, it's going to be blurry, even if it's just infrared.
It's true. It's true.
And you get all the infrared stuff in ghost hunting where they'll pick something up on the infrared, but you're not seeing it with the naked eye. You got UFOs like that. There's a great one that was on UFO Hunters from a police helicopter who
Hmm.
had an infrared camera pointed out the back, and it was picking up this spherical thing following them. And they're like, you could hear them talking. They're like, there's nothing there. What is this? And it's only showing up on the infrared camera. There's a case, Keith Linder's case in Seattle, where his house, it's called the Seattle Demon House or something like that. But I think there's that, again, I think that was the phenomena taking a direction because of assumptions.
Yeah.
But oh, I can't remember the investigator. Steve Mira went there and investigated it. And at one point, Steve said they were setting up their equipment. They were there for like a week. They were setting up their equipment, and nobody in the room was talking. And when they played, but they were recording. And
Mm.
when they played back the recording, there were crystal clear voices talking. What's that? Oh, I think it's a camera, and things like that. And at one point, someone turns on the infrared, and one of the voices goes, "Oh, we don't like that." And I'm
Wow.
thinking, well, if you exist in an infrared spectrum, that's probably blinding.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're just little pieces, but it would make sense. And it makes sense if these things are not just physical, if they're energy coming in from somewhere else, that they may be transmitting a form of light that we can, just like when you see some of these lights, they look super bright, and then you take a picture and it's just a pinpoint.
Yep.
What else is your brain picking up that's making that look brighter than it looks on the camera? Sounds are the same
Sounds.
thing.
Sounds.
Really,
Yeah.
really loud sounds in, investigations. You'll hear this loud bang, and then you play it back, and it's just a little knock. And it's like, okay, how much of that is your brain going, there's more information here, but I don't know how to tell you, so I'm just going to make it louder or brighter.
Yep. Now, my wife and I did a UFO summoning experiment
Oh, okay.
in Nanus Bay, and it's close to an area where they've had multiple UFO encounters. Uh, I think it's Stephen Granger used to live near there.
Okay. I don't know him.
Uh,
Off
the Granger Taylor. Sorry.
Hmm. Doesn't ring
Have
a
you,
bell, but a name.
it basically it's a BC guy who gets abducted by aliens, but he knew he was going to be taken, and he told his whole family. He built a UFO structure in the back of his house as like a fort. So
Okay.
he disappeared, and there's no trace of him. And the cops tried to. They found this truck that had been blown up. They tried to say, "Oh, well, he blew himself up."
Okay. Yeah, now I know the case you're talking about.
But when actual investigators go and check it out, it's not his truck because it's not the right paint, it's not the
Mm,
right model. So the cops just wanted it gone because it was such a weird case.
right.
So
Yeah. They just want to close it.
yeah, but my wife and I both saw a UFO. We filmed it to our naked eye. It was a shots of light into like one goes from above the tree line to up into the sky and then disappears. And my
Okay.
wife saw one that just went horizontally across the view of the camera. Now, on the camera, what we caught was a shadow doing the same thing or distortion in the film.
Yeah.
So right there, it could be that it was given off infrared and it messed with the camera.
Yep. Yep. There's there, there's so many pieces to this puzzle. Like, and because I think there's more than one thing going on, you got to figure out which pieces apply to which puzzle.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sometimes you can have all of the phenomena all in one area happening at the same time. Uh, Not
Yeah.
necessarily to the same person, but it could be multiple people in the area and they're all seeing something different. Doesn't mean that it's not all the same thing.
Well,
So
it could also be energy, like energy's releasing into that area and allowing these things to manifest.
true.
When I had Seth Breedlove on at one point, I think it was for the Beast of Whitehall, and Seth's very much a flesh and blood guy. And I said to him, as we're talking, I'm like, so how many UFO sightings were there? And he's like, well, we weren't really there for UFOs. I'm like, right. But during this flap, how many UFO sightings were there? And he paused for a moment and went, Well, I mean, across the road from where all this stuff was happening, a big UFO touched down and left a burn mark in the yard, but I don't think that's connected.
I love it when guys do that. They well this can't be connected to that. Why not?
Yeah, yeah. And imagine what better data we would have today if investigators didn't leave out other stuff. Like
Yeah,
when someone says, "I saw a UFO and Bigfoot," they'll be like, "Okay, you saw a UFO. We don't care about the Bigfoot." It's like, no, that's important because it changes the picture.
yeah.
Tim Renner, who does Strange Familiars, he had talked to a witness who had seen a Bigfoot. And at some point, Tim says, "So, have you ever seen any weird lights in this area?" And the guy thought about it and goes, "Actually, yeah, right around the same spot I saw the Bigfoot. Occasionally I see weird lights." And he goes, "Okay, anything else weird happen?" He goes, "Well, I got a ghost." And he's like, "Oh, well, what tell me about the ghost?" He's like, "It's this big guy with a lot of hair," and basically described Bigfoot as a ghost. And, and Tim's like, "I think these three things might be connected." But again, we're not trained to think that way. We're trained to think Bigfoot is an undiscovered ape, UFOs are spaceships, ghosts are dead people, et cetera, et cetera. Poltergeists are dead people, or maybe if you're going to be really edgy, they're psychokinetic energy from a prepubescent girl or a pubescent girl, and that's just none of those things work. Yes, the psychokinetic energy might be a thing.
Yeah.
Uh, any of those things could be possible. Like if there's an undiscovered ape in the Pacific Northwest, deep in the forest there, okay, I'll take that as a possibility, or the Himalayas or something like that, but probably not in New Jersey. And the dead people thing, yeah, sure, some ghosts might be dead people, but I can give you a dozen more explanations as to what may be causing this phenomena that doesn't exclude any of the other things. And that's UFOs, like it's a light for the what I saw a giant UFO over Cayuga Lake. This is the one I mentioned that happened the biggest turning point in my life that
Mm,
rewrite my autobiography. Um, but all I could actually say is I saw a bunch of lights and they were blazingly bright. And I stared at it and then it dropped down. I didn't see it go into the lake because I was too far away,
mm.
but it got in front of the trees down there and I was like, "Oh, this is very big." So that just answered is this close or big? And it's like, it's big. It is definitely over the lake. And it just dropped down behind the tree line. And I went, "Okay, continuing on to the radio station now." There was no missing time. It didn't even feel weird.
Mhm.
I got blinded from my left side, and I thought it was a car coming up from the lake with high beams on. And I'm like, "Oh my God, turn your high beams off." And I'm like, "Why are your high beams still blinding me? What is happening here?" And finally, I kind of squinted through it and went, "Oh, that's not a car. What is that?" And I pulled over and I just stared at it, and I'm going, "Not a helicopter, not a plane, not making any noise. Goddamn bright. Um, I don't know. I guess technically it's a UFO." And I'm going, I can't see if there's a craft because even though the lights stayed in formation
Yeah.
and some seemed to spin around the center, they were so bright I couldn't see if there was anything there or if they were just lights in a specific formation. So whenever I've described it, I saw lights. But
Hmm.
I think a lot of people would have assumed, "Oh, that's a ship there." And maybe it was. Maybe there was some structure behind it, but I didn't see it because it was too bright to see.
Yeah.
And that was all there was. I mean, it was an amazing thing to watch. And to this day, I can't imagine what it would have been other than something anomalous. Um, but like I don't have anything else to add. Nothing else weird happened. It just happened in, like I said, the biggest shift in my entire life at that point.
It's funny how phenomena will happen when your life is in a liminal state where you're going from one situation to another.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And I live a very liminal life, which is probably why this stuff exists so much in my life.
Well, when you're already there, it's easy for it to manifest for you.
And I encourage it. So,
Oh, there you go. Death, spirit world, multiple universes. We've kind of touched on multiple universes, but
yeah,
have you ever had a near-death experience?
not exactly. So I woke up one day, and so my journals are all oriented to what I had sort of divined the current of energy to be that I was dealing with.
Yeah,
And so there is a book of death. And I started this journal, put down book of death or whatever. And a few days later, I wake up. I'm completely wide awake. I just haven't gotten out of bed yet. And suddenly I'm driving my car. And I'm like, did I fall asleep driving? And I'm like, where am I? And I'm like, okay, no, I know where I am. Okay, I think I'm on 390. I must be headed north. Okay. All right, I'm good. Holy crap, what the hell just happened? Because I'm like, I can't remember where I came from. I can't like it was freaky. And all of a sudden, as I'm approaching a bridge, the front right side of the car collapses. There's just this snap, and like the wheel collapses. It flips the car, slams me into a bridge abutment, and kills me. And I feel this like incredible amount of pain that then goes numb.
mm,
Then I look down and I'm looking at the accident and I'm going, I'm dead. Crap. Okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it now, like what? And then I feel this like all-encompassing love that I cannot that is not love in the traditional sense. It was this connection.
yeah.
I was like, "Oh my God, like what is happening?" And now I'm laying in my bed again. And a voice says, "In 4 years at the end of the year." And I went, "Is that a warning or a prediction?" So something happened about 3 years in that completely changed my life. Um, and right after that, I think it was right after that. I forget the exact timeline. I had brought my car in to get new brakes, and they put new brakes on it, and I'm driving it, and I'm like, man, every time I hit the brakes, I'm smelling them burn. That doesn't seem right. And I was like, do I bring it back? And it was actually my dad who put them on. He was working for his friend who was a mechanic.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I should bring it back. All right. So I turn around and I go back with it. I'm like, I'm smelling the brakes burn. I don't know what's going on. So he puts it up on a lift. He goes, oh. And I'm like, what's oh? He's like, you need a new car. I'm like, what do you mean I need a new car? And he's like, this wheel, the same wheel that I saw collapse in the dream, is could go at any time. And I'm like, what would happen if that wheel went? He goes, oh, if you're going fast enough, you could totally flip the car. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess that's not going to happen now.
That was someone saying, "Hey, this is gonna happen. Get it checked."
But I changed my path is what happened, I think. And I changed it in a way it was supposed to go, but maybe I wasn't on that path at that point. I don't know. Like I don't fully know how to interpret it because like I've never had a vision like that before where I thought I was awake and there at the time.
Now, do you think that the phenomena came and gave you that knowledge so that you would change your path?
Maybe. I to this day I don't know fully what to make of that.
It's
But like and the reason I say that I'm pretty sure my path changed is I found someone that I was looking for that I had almost no chance of finding. That I had been it took me 6 years to find the person. And she fit every piece of information they gave me.
okay.
Um, the friend whose mind I could read. The last time I had seen her prior to this, um, when she got out of my car, I went, I'm never going to see her again. And I was absolutely certain of this. And I went, I mean, it was probably a couple of years I hadn't seen her.
Hmm.
And we just kind of lost touch. I mean, this is pre-internet for the most part, or early internet.
Yeah.
And I go to this concert after I found this person. I go to this concert and she's there. And I'm like, okay, something has changed. And then it was after that that I found the wheel was barely attached to the car.
When you look at these points in your life, it's like a pattern arises to how things are progressing, and a lot of it has to do with making you grow as a person, but
Yeah.
in some cases it can be they're actually telling you, well, you got to do this because this is going to happen.
Right. Right. You're going the wrong way.
It's
Or maybe it was just to tell me I was on the right path when I got there.
true. It's true. Um, the Fae tricksters and the other folk.
I mean, the trickster phenomenon is just mixed into this stuff no matter which way you look.
Hmm.
It's the thing that mixes everything up. It stops us from seeing it directly, I think, at times. And of course, you have the trickster element from people too. I always feel like the Enfield poltergeist is the best case example of that because you had a very real poltergeist. It was probably either being generated by one of the girls or something was using that energy.
Hmm.
And once they started getting attention, that energy, that stress level that was probably generating that energy went down and the poltergeist activity stopped. But they didn't want it to stop because it was getting them attention. So they started faking it. And as soon as they started faking it, it was really obvious. And they got caught faking it immediately. And then all the skeptics are like, see, they were faking it the whole time. And it's like, I don't think that's how that works. So the trickster element is they were being tricksters, trying to make it seem like this was still happening, so they got the attention. But also, it brings the whole thing into question.
Yeah.
You know, like this trickster element seems to keep this stuff obscured for whatever reason. Like we can get pieces of it. I
Mhm.
think we're capable of communicating with it better if we understand it better. But part of understanding that is that this trickster is always gonna pull the rug out from underneath you. Um, I had a I don't even know how to describe this experience. So there was I used to watch Ghost Hunters,
Hmm.
enjoyed the early episodes of Ghost Hunters. I think it was the last live show they did on Halloween. Grant was very obviously faking stuff. And that's the first time I saw them do stuff where I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Actually, I wrote a whole blog about it. And this was before Where Did the Road Go? I had just a paranormal website. And and one of the things I commented on is right in the beginning, he walks past this doorway and this voice that very clearly sounds like it's on a recorder plays and says, something that sounds spooky or whatever. And he looks at Jason. He's like, "Did you hear that?" And Jason, obviously realizing that Grant planted this, he tries to ignore it. And Grant walks past the doorway again and it goes off again. So obviously it's on a motion sensor, right? And Jason's like, you can see he's getting irritated. And they eventually just move on. And I said, look, if there's going to be a paranormal voice, it's not going to sound like it's on a recorder. So that night, I wake up at some point. I don't know why. I just was suddenly wide awake. And out of my closet comes a voice sounding like it's on a tape recorder. And for the life of me, I couldn't, the next day, I could not remember what it said, but it said something completely ridiculous. And it said it like two or three times like it was on a tape recorder. And I just laid there going, okay, I get it. I get it. You can't say it's not going to sound like a tape recorder. And to me, that's a little bit of the trickster, you know?
That's
I think,
the wet willy in the ear thing.
yeah. God, I had just in the last year, I was laying in bed and had one of my eyelids tapped. Like something tapped it like three times. And I went, the hell was that?
Hi, I'm here.
Trick. trickster is such a hard thing to define. I mean, I think that the if people really want to understand the trickster, they should read Hanson's Trickster and the Paranormal,
Hmm.
because that book, I mean, I would read a chapter of that and have to put it down for a couple of days. Like that needs to process. I'll
Yeah,
come back. He was
there's
also the person I was most nervous about talking to on my show, because I'm like, oh my God, this guy's book is so deep. Am I going to just make a fool out of myself? You know? But it went well. I was happy with that. I was pleased he came on.
it when you get the rare opportunity where you can talk to someone who's created a book like that, that's so in depth, and it gets into a place that when you're talking to them, you're kind of reverent of them to
Yeah.
begin.
Yeah. Well, it's just I realize this guy is very, very smart. And it's like, I don't want to screw this up. And the worst part is before he agreed to come on, he wanted to just have a conversation with me. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So I had like this hour-long conversation with him. That was fantastic. The show was nowhere near that good. Just because like we had already talked about all this stuff. And as I'm doing, I'm going, wait, did we talk about this on the show? I can't remember.
Hmm. And
That
then
happens. We have long conversations before a recording too, where it's like, where you're talking about stuff, and then like you're doing the show, going, "Did we wait? Did we talk about this on the show? Or are we repeating ourselves?"
it happens. Like a few times, uh, the the application I use is Zoom,
Mm,
but it would fail
yeah,
out of nowhere. It would just fail, and so I'd have to switch to Spot to Skype or to my phone and try and do it that way. But we'd get most of the way through, and then we'd have to start over and be like, "Did we already?" Yes, we did already talk
right.
about it, but not on this.
Yeah. Um, it's funny. There was one band I think I screwed up interviews with three different times, and I'm like, how? How do I keep doing this? I think the last time I'm like, I'm not telling them I forgot to hit record. I'm going to tell them the program crashed because I'm just embarrassed at this point.
Oh, it sucks.
And the worst thing is that so I got like this really deep interview out of them. And then when we had to re-record it, she decided she's just gonna have fun with it instead. I'm like, no, no, you were just talking about all this awesome stuff.
Oh man.
And sometimes that's the trickster element to it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I talked to Einar Selvik. Now, do you know of his work at all?
No.
He was with Gogoroth, basically a death metal band, and then he went full folk.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so his band Wardruna, uh,
Oh
they
yeah,
do. Hmm?
I love Wardruna.
There you go. Uh, well, anyone who's in into magic and magical practice would love it because it's all ritual.
Yeah. The same with Hai Lung.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now Heilung is even more so because the each song is based on a ritual that what is it, Carl, the lead. I forget who the lead is. Anyways, he's a big person into Thelema and other practices, and so it's all based off of his work.
Hmm.
But with with Wardruna, he it's very earth based,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and so I talked to him about animism and about his basically his culture, more so than I talked about his music. But we had the music there because that's part of his ritual.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
And
Fields and the Nephilim were like that.
yeah,
Carl McCoy put all his magical beliefs into the music.
have
Great.
you,
Both of them are great. All of them are great stuff to meditate to too.
true, true. Have you ever had an encounter with Dan Dutton?
I don't think so.
Uh, he's uh, he's Nathan Paul Isaac and Penny Royal. He's a good friend of the family. Well, he's
That,
basically family to them.
that's why the name sounds familiar. Yeah, I've never talked to him. I've talked to Nathan numerous times, but I've never talked to him.
Dan Dutton is he created the Stone Man and uh, a Pan Saga. He does music, but he's a consummate artist. Like he does sculpture and everything, but
Yes.
it's for him, I think his art is his ritual.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I think the language of the other is art.
Yeah,
Ritual is art. And I think that's how we communicate with symbol and creativity, not with words. I mean, words hold power too, but I think if you hit those symbols that mean something to you, that's where the power is.
exactly. Um, when you use rhythm in ritual, it works better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what, well, music in itself, it creates emotion.
Hmm.
And I think when you're talking about the other and magic is very EQ based, where physicality is very IQ based.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good way of putting it.
So, um,
Uh, what was the other aspect? Oh, the Fae. I don't the Fae again. I mean, it ties so much into UFO lore and stuff like that. And I mean, the closest I can say that I had that seemed like a Fae type encounter. I mean, I probably had a few things. Again, when I was dealing with elemental spirits, there seemed to be some Fae type stuff going on.
mhm,
But I had this ties into something we were talking about earlier when people experience different things. So the person that I was supposed to find that basically saved me from being in a car accident, I guess. Um,
yeah,
she and I mean, that was the closest I had ever been with somebody because we connected on such a strong level in every way. And we were walking through this very haunted graveyard that we went to regularly. And we were with another friend and we were meeting other friends there. It's the middle of the night. And
mhm,
as we're walking, these small little lights start flying around our heads. And there's like dozen of maybe more than a dozen of them. And they're all different colors and they're flying around our heads like bugs would, but they're not bugs. They're lights. They're not making any sound.
mhm,
And like I see them and I'm like, uh, and then she's like, "Are you seeing this?" I'm like, "The lights?" She's like, "Yeah, the lights." And I'm like, "Uh-huh." And then we turn to our third friend and we're like, "Are you seeing it?" And he's like, "Seeing what?"
yep,
It's like, "Okay." And so we continue walking to where we're going to meet our friends. And right before one of our friends yells to us, the lights just dart away. And she looks and goes, "Did they just?" I'm like, "Yeah, they just left." And then we hear our friend, and it's like, "What the hell was that?" You know?
it's funny how you can have like a group of people and just two people see the phenomena. Everyone else is oblivious to it.
But I also wonder if the person we were going to meet would have seen it, and that's why they darted away.
That's possible. It's interesting how for certain people we can see it where everyone else wouldn't.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have that liminal connection. In my case, I've died several times.
Oh, you've had that connection to death.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I didn't answer that question. I don't think death is. I think I look at it like very much like we're in a video game. I don't necessarily think we're in a video game, but in the sense of if you were able to hold, if you hold a game cartridge or a book in your hand,
Hmm.
a game cartridge is a better example because you have multiple paths you could take, but it's eventually going to take you to the same place, whatever path you take, right? But it's
Yeah.
all you could hold it in your hand. So time only exists when you're playing the video game. And when we're alive, we're the character in that video game. But we're also the one playing the video game on the outside. And when you eventually finish the video game or you die in the video game, you're still you.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like death is you're just going back to you from a different perspective. And you're already at that perspective, but you don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes complete sense to me.
I mean, doing Where Did the Road Go feels like the thing I was always supposed to do. So,
Well,
like,
it
when
gives you
it's,
a chance to put out there what your ideas are, and you're a huge influence on a lot of people. You
and
may not know know all of them, but you are to basically everyone in the group that I talk to. And now Brendan Storr,
hmm?
I met him here in Victoria when he was living here,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been friends since.
Yeah, Brennan's awesome.
He is. He is. He himself has had a really liminal life.
Yeah, to say the least. His experiences are just awesome.
They are, and um, if you ever get a chance to interview or talk to Adam Towla
Okay,
of Paranormal Polynesian,
okay,
he he is another liminal person, like
okay.
uh, and he's had experiences in Utah that are different than well, he's been to Skinwalker Ranch and seen something,
Hmm.
but he was also on Ghost Hunters.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the camera people
Nice.
and one of the investigators with them.
Yeah, like
Um,
I appreciated Ghost Hunters a lot, as much as I didn't like the reality TV format.
yeah.
There became a point where I think they were just forced. And again, this is the trickster, right? Like you had Ghost Adventures out there faking stuff and getting all this amazing stuff, and then you had Paranormal State out there fake. And I'm not saying that everything they did was fake, but if they didn't find stuff, they made sure they found stuff.
Yep.
And there was some stuff that was just so obviously faked that it was like, man, that's just you're not even trying hard here, you know? Like,
All the demon stuff really kind of went.
yeah.
I went okay.
And I think Ghost Hunters felt like we have to compete. They were probably losing ratings because
Mhm.
most people aren't watching these shows because they're deeply invested in the research. They're watching the shows because they're fun.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's way more fun to watch a guy pretend to be possessed by a demon in half the episodes than it is for, some guys to walk around the house and be like, yeah, we didn't get anything.
it's true. It's true. But that for us that has kind of killed our willingness to go around and investigate with others
Mm,
because they're out there for the sensation of it, and we're out there actually trying to do the research.
right. So Tim Renner and I were sitting on this bridge in Gettysburg, where he's had a lot of weird experiences. And we're just sitting quietly to see if anything happens. And unfortunately, this was in October, so near Halloween time. And he had debunked this bridge because they call it like the suicide bridge
Hmm.
or the hanging bridge or something. But the thing's like 4 feet above the creek. So who's jumping off this bridge to kill themselves, you know? Like, so it's just like he went through, couldn't find a single story where someone killed themselves on this bridge. However, the area has a weird feel. So we're
Hmm.
sitting there, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and at some point, this light starts appearing on the end of the bridge. And I don't even know how to describe it. It was like light was being cast from somewhere else and shining on the bridge, but there was no source for the light. And he very quietly says to me, he's like, look at the end of the bridge. And I'm like, the golden light? He's like, yeah, where's that coming from? And we're like looking and got nothing. And a couple minutes later, these ghost hunters roll up. Loud cars, doing a ghost tour. And they just tear in there and the light just disappears. And I'm like, and we're both like, ah, God damn it. And then, you know, they get out with their ghost boxes and their portal boxes and they're all sitting on the bridge trying to communicate with the people who committed suicide. And we're like, I guess it's time to leave. You know,
Yep. Yeah. The I think what happens a lot is, yeah, they'll get something, but most often they'll get the negative because
yeah,
that's what they're looking for. They're not there looking for what is actually there. They want some. They're
they want to be scared.
I equate it to walking up to someone's door, knocking on it. They open the door and you scream in their face to do stuff.
Right.
Who in their right mind is going to do anything for you if you're yelling at them? And if they do, they're going to be pissed off at you.
um, we had gone to that same graveyard where we saw the lights. Uh, I've had so many experiences there, and they're all different. And went up there with my girlfriend from Ohio and Rosian from Project Archivist. And Rosian's like, let's go up in the middle of the night. Maybe something will happen. And it's like, all right. And the whole time we're there, he's just talking and talking. And then he's live streaming. And it's like, Rosian, nothing's going to happen if you keep doing this. Like, you got to just kind of sit with it for a while and maybe something will happen, you know?
Yeah, that's the
Like,
worst.
oh, I didn't experience anything. I'm like, you never shut up.
It's true. Like more crap happens when I'm sitting waiting to do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think the shadow thing gets a lot of negative expectations because it's dark.
It's true. It's true. A lot of people equate black and darkness as evil,
Yeah,
and it's not the case. It is what you make it.
yeah. And if this thing feeds off of our energy to manifest, if you're giving it fear, it's going to be scary
Yep.
because that's what it has to work with.
Hmm. But if you give it a playful curiosity,
Yeah, yeah.
then you get better outcomes,
Generally.
happier experiences. I've been part of a group before where they did a UT hunt,
Oh, what?
a UT or a ultra terrestrial hunt,
Oh, okay.
and they were doing the typical ghost hunter thing of demanding things of it.
Ah,
And every one of them, except for me, I kind of sat back and said, I want to observe this before I do it. And it's a good thing I did because all of them had bad experiences.
not
And
shocking.
it was just they went in with the idea, oh, we want to communicate with this elder being and blah blah blah. And
And after you had the thing move through you, did anything come of that? I mean, was that the end of the experience?
it it was what it felt like is there was multiple of these spirits. Once it one of them walked through me, I avoided them.
Okay. But
I
like like after that though, did anything happen? Like, was there any repercussions from that experience?
We had what we call a phenomena bomb,
Mm,
where the phenomena builds up, and then a rash of experiences happen, and then it dies down, and we have nothing for a while.
yeah, yeah. Which
Do,
is
do,
which is the typical pattern for this stuff, whether it be UFO flaps or poltergeist experiences.
it's a current. It's the current of it.
The energy builds, expends itself, and then once it's expended, it just kind of dies down.
Yeah. Um, Before we go, because I've had you on here for way too long.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I enjoy doing this. Uh, the, I could talk for hours.
Well, we have, I believe.
At this point, it's 2 hours. Easily 2 hours. Um, is there anything you would like to promote?
Everything I have is at wheredidtheroadgo.com. So,
Okay.
and that includes my music show, The Last Exit for the Lost. There's a link tree there that takes you to all of my stuff in general, and then all the Where Did the Road Go stuff is linked off of there. Where Did the Road Go's had a new show every single week since January 2013, when I started, and they are all up on the website. There's a Patreon. Um, there's a YouTube channel with some extra stuff on that's video, as well as all the episodes. I don't do video episodes, but if I'm in, like we did a tour of the Seth house, for example, where
Okay.
Jane Roberts channeled Seth, and that was a really interesting interview and just tour in general. I'm very fascinated by the Seth material.
Hmm.
So that was, they invited me down, and I was like, yes, yes, that would be awesome. And so there's stuff like that up, but again, all of it just goes back to wheredidtheroadgo.com. You can find everything.
Please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you're listening from.